I'm back. Married at First Sight UK, Episode 6, Part 2. So we are now onto the honeymoons of Amy and Josh and Franky and Marilyse. Starting with Amy and Josh. These two have gone to the beautiful island of Mexico. They seem happy enough at the moment. From what I gather, Josh sees Amy as quite needy. They mentioned about the flight being a 10-hour flight, which is true, and that he was trying to sleep and Amy kept nudging him, for she wanted to talk and wanted his attention. And I can understand that. A 10-hour flight without speaking, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that either. But at the same time, it would be interesting to know what he means by needy, because we haven't seen so much of that from her at the moment. So hopefully as this process carries on, we're going to see more of what he means and get a better perspective of the word needy. Because what he may see as needy may be normal. And maybe the problem is him. Him being, what's the word you use? Emotionally unavailable. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. The first morning of their honeymoon started off on a bad note. Again, this word needy came up. They were talking about some pillow separating them in the night. I couldn't understand that argument. It just didn't make any sense to me. I just didn't. I thought, why are we arguing about a bloody pillow? Really, what we needed to get is to the crutch of this. It was the word needy. He finds her too needy. Her wanting to have a hug from him in the middle of the night, or hugging up to him in the middle of the night, he found disturbing. They're on their honeymoon. Isn't that a normal thing to do in a relationship, to want to hug up or to spoon your boyfriend or your partner, your husband, whoever it may be? Is this guy for real? And then he tries to call her needy. I don't see that as needy. That's normal. As you can hear, he's irritating me already. Here's the type of guy. The only time he shows affection is when he wants something. And you know exactly what I mean. When talking to the camera, her perspective was very much like, if he shows me just natural affection, holding me, hugging me, kissing me, just generally speaking, what most people would do in a relationship, I wouldn't be seen as needy. It's because he doesn't show her any of that, unless, like I said, he wants something. He's used to the chick on a Saturday night that he just quickly gets his leg over and can close the door behind him and forget all about. He's used to that chick. There was one point she made in regards to her requirements when speaking to the matchmakers. She did ask for somebody that will show her affection. Ugh. Matchmakers, you got it wrong again. Instead, you bring her Mr. Playboy. It was that same night that they ended up sleeping separately. However, the following morning, to get themselves back on an even keel, they did book a boat trip. She was hoping that this boat trip will get them to connect, talk about feelings, etc, etc. Now, what I seem to gather from this chat that they had on this boat, she talked about her feelings and things that have happened to her in her past. I didn't see him say anything at all about his. No, I stand corrected. He said he was in a 3.5-year relationship. End of conversation. That's it. Nothing else. 3.5-year relationship. And he was done. He didn't go into the details of that relationship. He didn't talk about any of his relationship histories. He said nada. This guy is a closed book. In her words, emotionally unavailable. For the camera, he had to look empathetic and look interested in what she had to say. But he wasn't. I see through that. And I'm sure a lot of other people did as well. To be honest, the whole thing made me cringe. When you see the camera on him and the way he was asking the questions felt more like an interview. It wasn't really from the bottom of his heart the way he was talking. It felt more organised. It felt like the cameraman or the producers told him, oh, ask her this or ask her that. Not really him naturally asking those questions. This guy has no real empathy. He pretends to. Him, to be honest, he's quite fake. All you see is exterior and no substance. Moving on to the time when they were lying on the beach on the sun loungers. The first thing that Josh asked Amy was, have you ever had sex on the beach? Now, it's not about the question. At this point, they are being very flirtatious with each other. But this is what I mean when I say him showing her attention or affection when he wants something. And we all know what he wants. My man's feeling horny. And so is she. I'm not going to leave her out. But we need to get the balance right. I believe it was the following day that they had the body scrub massages, the couple's body scrub. And they were being very flirtatious then as well. And when it came to him scrubbing her down with the body scrub, he was turned on by that. We all know. What man wouldn't be? When they later spent time in the jacuzzi, I could see he was in his element. This is what he knows. This is what he does best. Very good at the flirting. He shows his natural side with that. But when it comes to emotions, he doesn't have it. Those are things he still has to learn. Whether she has the patience to teach him is another thing. And whether he has the patience to learn from her, again, is another thing. But he's 26. I can't see it. But anyway, the following morning, as we all saw, they couldn't hide the fact that they got jiggy last night. They were blushing like Cheshire cats. She did, however, ask a question in regards to whether he was feeling more optimistic about them as a couple. He then lied by saying that he's always felt optimistic. I'm actually rolling my eyes right now. He said the only thing we needed to do was to smooth a few things out. Again, I'm rolling my eyes. All in all, the way I look at him is that he based relationships on the sexual side of things. If the sex is good, the relationship's good. Oh dear. Oh, this poor boy hasn't got a clue. We're just going to have to wait and see where this goes. Anyway, moving on to Frankie and Marilese. As we all know, Mr. Franky woke up on the sofa, while Marilyse had a whole super king-size bed all to herself. It wasn't an argument. It was agreed. It was soon known that they would be spending their honeymoon in the Lake District. He was in his element, knowing that was their destination. He loves the thought of the outdoors. She, of course, didn't mind at all. He is raring to go. He can't wait to test her endurance. On the first morning of their honeymoon, he had already organised a sport to take on. Paddleboarding. Yep, paddleboarding. And it so happens that Marilyse had told him on their drive up that she doesn't like the deep water. Mr. Franky, were you listening? He had totally forgotten this note, but he was still going to go ahead anyway. But with that being said, he did say to her, as per his vows, he is there to protect her. She will have a life jacket on to be able to float if she was to fall into the water, which she will do quite a few times, so he said. On the day of this particular activity, he was very supportive, I will say that. Very much a man. He was there to protect her, make sure that she was comfortable. Yeah, he was very much like her instructor, to be honest. But he's definitely the type of man I would trust to catch me if I was to fall. Him also being her guardian angel in that activity, it was a way of showing trust. She needed to rely on him and she needed to trust him. He wants to be the alpha, to protect. Did you see him? Did you see him? When he was doing those press-ups on that board. Oof. Talk about core muscles. Talk about core muscles. The stamina on him. He made it fun with that activity. He made her laugh. She likes him. We're going to have to wait and see how this progresses. When going for lunch, the conversation steered around him living in Dubai and whether he would move. Knowing that she has a family and 3 dogs, he knows that he's going to be the one to have to make the move. But as she says, I believe it when I see it. I have to agree. I will believe it when I see it. And with that being said, she doesn't really want to let her guard down just yet until she sees actions, movement. He then brought up the topic of her children and whether they would like him. He did mention that he was a big kid himself, and her response behind that was, in that case, you'll get on just fine. So that was a positive. Later on, these guys had a massage. Now, he's never given a massage before, and I could tell. He looked so awkward. They also had champagne and strawberries in the jacuzzi. He was feeding her strawberries. Now that was a nice, intimate moment. There was a question later asked on camera to Franky whether anything had gone on in the bedroom. His reply was something like, I'm not 21 years old. I don't get off telling my mates about those things. Something like that, he said. I had to laugh. At the back end of it, he turned around and said, I'm 47 years old, darling. You get to a certain age, you don't go around revealing those things. He is so right. At their final meal, they were reflecting on the past week and how they never knew each other a week ago and how things have turned out. She's saying that every day she's seen different layers to him that she likes, and he's looking at it very much like, wow, this is greater than he thought it would be. So we're gonna have to wait and see. So on that note, I shall leave it here. So that's the end of today's review. If you like what we heard, please like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.